Hey everybody, it's Casual Boops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to do Advent Calendar Day 7. It's the STRV 81 for 9,000 gold, which is, again, these are all the same price, or I'm sorry, they're all the same gold price plus your 300 gold for the garage slot, then you get the crew for free, and then you get the 5x, 25 missions. This is basically a Centurion 1 excuse me, from the tech tree, with some small differences, and I guess I'll show you those differences now. Very small. So basically, the Centurion 1 gets a standard round that's AP, and the premium round is an APCR round, and the STRV 81 is exactly the same in a lot of ways, right? You can see this, except the standard round is an APCR round that's way faster. So that's cool. That you notice the difference between these two things for sure. Excuse me, and it does get it's heavier, but it also gets a better engine. So it's going to be a little bit peppier, I suppose, exactly with the exact same ground resistances. So I suppose it's a better Centurion 1. It also gets, what is this? Engine health is lower, whatever that means. And radio range, like anyone cares about that. For all intents and purposes, it is a slightly better Centurion 1. How does it play, for instance? You're probably asking yourself. Well, it's all about hull down things. It's got a pretty solid turret, and it's not a whole lot of hull armor. So what you do is you find a ridgeline, you use your 10 degrees of gun depression that you have, and your fairly accurate gun, and you pew over a ridge, and it doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. It does 230 damage per shot, which is not good. I mean, 230 is even slightly below the normal, which is 240 for tier 8 mediums that are single shot. But, it's fine. I actually like these tanks a little bit because it's just, you can kind of pump out the rounds, and the 230, it's accurate. So there's things to like here, but you find a ridge, and then that's what you do. You can do side scrapey things, but it's not that easy to do. Like, really what the Centurions like to do is find ridges and pew over the ridges. And the turret armor is fairly solid, as you can see. It does have a cupola here, so if you are forced to side scrape, and you're side scraping off of this side, you should know that if somebody knows what they're doing, they will see your cupola first, and they'll be able to shoot that before you can shoot them back. So you should be aware of that. Also, this is the STRV 81 being shot by an Object 416, which has standard rounds of AP. I picked this because the Object 416 has really good premium rounds, and it specifically has heat rounds. The reason I'm calling out this is because if you get shot with heat, then all of a sudden this forehead, see this forehead here that's very well angled, it works really well against most things that are shooting it, especially when you're using gun depression, partially because of the angle. Well, heat doesn't really care about angles. So if you're being shot at by something with heat, I mean, if you're using really good gun depression, then the cheeks, like what I'm trying to get at here is the turret is solid at tier 8, and 6s and 7s and 8s are going to have a really hard time penning your turret, especially when you're using gun depression. If you're straight on, that's, this is the AP rounds or whatever. If you're straight on, even the turret is pretty good, right? But if you're shooting, if say, tier 9s are shooting at you, or tier 10s are shooting at you, or like I said, I picked this tank as a comparison because the 416 has premium rounds that are 330 penetration, which is, I mean, that's part of the reason that tank is silly. So this is like tier 10 levels of penetration, and this is what happens. So it does have pretty good armor, but you have to just know what's shooting at you. And if you're playing against tier 10s, you should probably just pretend you don't have armor, because you probably just don't. This mantlet it works, but it's very troll. So if you depend on this, it's probably not. I mean, you're hoping they're not going to hit all of this, and that they're instead going to hit this. So is it worth the buy? Honestly, I'm assuming that the leaks are correct, and if they are, that means, because they have been so far, and if they are correct, that means that that one of the tanks on the list, I don't know when it's going to come up, is the Centurion 51 RAAC, and I adore this tank. It looks a little bit different, but you're saying very similar, almost the same. Doesn't have the side skirts and some other slight differences, but the big difference here is it has all the good stuff of the Centurion 1, like you just saw, and probably even the STRV 81, except it also has a better hull. It has a little extra plate that you can kind of see there on the front hull. So that means when you're working a ridge, you have even more wiggle room, where if you mess up and expose some of your hull, it doesn't get cheese. So I don't want to turn this into a 5-1 review. The point is there are better tanks that do this exact same playstyle that are coming up. So the STRV-81 is not a bad tank per se, but there are better tanks that even look exactly the same that are coming up pretty soon. So I probably wouldn't buy this one. Just knowing that, like, but if you just adore Centurions and you got to have them all, then maybe you do buy this. I don't know. I don't, $40 just to have these pixels in your garage. I probably wouldn't personally. So anyways, let me know what you think. Thanks for your time, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.